Welcome to the W2W review. I am the Oakland Knight, and due to technical difficulties on my end, I'm going to be running solo today. No pirate here on this offensive Monday. We are coming off one big victory in New Orleans. We went down to the Big Easy, and even though it wasn't easy, we're easy riding our way home. We came out with the victory, a last-second victory. You could look at it as the missed 61-yard field goal attempt, or you could look at it from being Jack Del Rio's big brave move by going for the 2-point conversion instead of tying the game, and Carr hitting Crabtree on a fade to the sideline. Either way you look at it, it was one remarkable football game, and let's get into this, shall we? I'm going to start off by talking about it's a negative to a point. When you look at the game statistically, where we rushed for 175 yards, Carr threw for 319 yards. We went for almost 500 yards of total offense. We won the time of possession even by like a minute. You look at the statistics and you have to ask yourself, did the game really feel like that? Did the game really feel like Carr had over 300 yards and a touchdown pass? Did it feel like we had 175 yards rushing, even though 75 of that came from it was actually 161, I believe, 64. Did it really feel like that, even though Jalen Richard had the game-changing 75-yard touchdown run? No, it didn't. For the first three quarters, it was the same old offense that we've been seeing for the last year, where Bill Musgrave comes out and he just calls a really, really conservative game. He kind of takes it in and kind of waits to see what the Saints defense was going to give him, and slowly but surely matured its way into what we saw late third quarter and the entire fourth quarter. And my thing is, when it comes to this whole thing, man, is we need to come out the gates like we did in the fourth quarter. As an offensive coordinator, you have a whole week, and in this case, you had the whole offseason to prepare for no matter what kind of defense the Saints were going to roll out with. If they were going to play their safeties deep and play their corners off man, then you should have something already in place and already ready to go and start attacking them that way. And for some reason, I just get this feeling that he's just still milking this offense. It's almost like, do you have the confidence in this offense that even the Raider Nation does? I mean, we have complete 100% confidence in this offense, and you've seen it in the fourth quarter. I just can't help to think that Bill Musgrave just, I don't know if it's a confidence issue. He likes to play conservative until he gets a good rhythm going. I think that, he needs to come out in these games and just let it loose right from the get-go. I mean, obviously, this is our strength, okay? The offense is our strength. If it wasn't for our offense, we would have lost this game. In fact, if it wasn't for Jalen Richard, which we'll get into a little bit later in the show, we would have lost this game. And it became a barnstorm shootout, which is what I expected anyway, but And I even said in the last W2W review I did before to end the week last week that I expected Derek Carr to win this shootout. I really did, because of the weapons, and luckily for me it turned out that way, but I didn't really think it needed to be this way. I mean, yes, our defense was struggling, and we'll get into defense tomorrow, but at the end of the day, okay, this offense is high potent. We've seen it. You want to double Mari Cooper? You want to set, even if you take your safeties and play them on either side, and one safety helps out the corner on Crab, and the other one helps out the corner on Cooper, Seth Roberts, Clive Walford should be open all day. All day. They should be able to beat their man. And in fact, Seth Roberts did beat his man down there at the red zone and caught another game-winning touchdown pass. So Bill Musgrave not only needs to really figure it out earlier, but he needs to just implement it faster. Now, it's really hard. I mean, it's such a great game. Such offensive statistics are off the charts, right? We really hung in there with them. Yes, Drew Brees did outthrow Derek Carr. He threw for 4 touchdowns and 424 yards. However, we outrushed them. So this game could have got away from us so many different times, and we hung in there, primarily because our offense had that no-quit attitude. So at the end of the day, I don't want to totally harp on Bill Musgrave. Obviously, he called a good enough game. Our statistics show that this offense was ready to roll. I just feel like I need to see more out of Bill Musgrave at this point. Bill Musgrave at this point should be feeling very strong about his offense, have 100% confidence. Come out in the first and second quarter swinging like that. Don't wait for halftime adjustments. Don't wait for the fourth quarter. And like I said, we'll get into the Jalen Richard part of it here in just a bit. So let's go ahead and take a look at one of the major things that I was impressed with. You could give a game ball out to so many different players in this game on offense. I think everybody played outstanding. I don't think there was a player, with the exception of maybe two of our running backs. Like I said, I think as a whole it was solid. Tywan Jones had a great tackle on special teams, and he also had a great burst power run to the outside for a first down. Outside of that, there was a couple of times he was just trying too hard. He was running backwards instead of forwards. And then the Latavius Murray, once again, I think Latavius Murray really stepped up his game. You know, before I talk about some of the negative with Latavius Murray, I want to point out that I think he ran a lot harder this game, and I think he's going to be running a lot harder in the future, simply because, you know, DeAndre Washington and especially Jalen Richard came as advertised, and I think they're really putting the heat on a guy like Latavius Murray. He's got to know at this point that he's going to have to step up his game, or these guys are going to be starting over him. The offense seem faster when those two smaller backs are in there, so Latavius Murray's going to have to raise up his game. But, you know, there was a couple of plays where, you know, you just see Murray dancing too much back there, dancing sideways, falling sideways. There was a couple of plays he did that. He had some great power runs. I think it was a big step moving forward. But to give out one game ball, just to give out one game ball, I guess it would have to be to Mike Tice, you know, because he represents that offensive line. And that offensive line, to me, was the star of the show. Meadowlark Watson goes down. His backup McCants goes down. I thought we were in big trouble at that point. Not that we weren't already at that point, being down near 14 points. But they decide to move Donald Penn over to play the right tackle spot, slid Kelechi Osemele over to left tackle, and implement John Feliciano. And I'm going to start off by saying Feliciano, once again, seems to just really impress me. He's a very stout guy. He's a perfect fit in the guard position. He also did well in the preseason, being our backup center. Kelechi Osemele just dominated that left side. He actually seemed like the better left tackle, personally, and it could just be the way the line was set in general. But and no, my hat really goes off to Donald Penn. I was listening to 95.7 The Game this morning, and they were talking about, you know, Donald Penn was interviewed at some point, and I haven't seen the interview, so I'm going to be paraphrasing here of what they said. But basically, he said, you know, he hasn't played there in 15 years, and he went over there and he said it was like he's left-handed trying to write right-handed. And that's what it felt like. But you know what? He didn't complain. I think he did an outstanding job, and I don't know exactly what this offensive line is gonna look like this week at home against Atlanta, but it's fair to say that we're going to suit some other guys up. Hopefully we get Austin Howard back, and hopefully Meadowlark Watson ain't out too long. But at the same time, I mean, I'm still confident in this week's game because we just seem to have the depth there. You know, you implement Feliciano, you got Gabe Jackson, Rodney Hudson, and you're still playing Donald Penn, and you're still playing Kelechi Osemele. You know, you run that same lineup and we'll be okay. I'm excited to try to get Austin Howard back so we can have more room to play with without risk of injury. But this offensive line did its job, and in tight circumstances, you know, when it really had to happen. And I'm just flat out amazed the way that this team fought, the way that this team stood together. Like I said, the only bad thing, and it all depends on how you want to view this offense, the only bad thing I got to say was for 3 quarters, we played too conservative. I'm going to give another example of what I'm talking about. We get the ball, we run 2 plays back to back. First and second down, we run up the gut. We set up a 3rd and 2, which is, you know, not a bad place to be, 3rd and 2. We empty out the backfield. We have five wideouts, stacked line. This is the time where you take a shot. Whether you're going to, you know, you stretch it out. You got Cooper, you got Crabtree, you got Roberts. You had all your playmakers out there, and you throw a 2-yard crossing route to Amari Cooper, who was tightly covered and drops. We don't get the first down. I just don't get it. The short yard conservative play calling early on in games is really what separated us, outside of our defense, really, really struggling. And like I said, we'll get into that tomorrow. For me, that was the biggest eye-opener to me in this game was we cannot allow team, especially when you're playing a team in the New Orleans Saints where they got a guy like Drew Brees who answered all my questions about his age and his offense and his weapons. This is going to be another great offensive year for the Saints. It's going to be another great season for Drew Brees, who is a Hall of Famer, and the guy was on point. So I definitely don't want to take anything away from the New Orleans Saints. I think they played a hell of a game. But I think our offense showed that they could keep up with that offense. And it did turn into a shootout, but it shouldn't have been a situation where we had to come back from 14 under. I just really felt like this game could have been neck and neck. I mean, literally, and I know I'm not the only one. At one point, I truly thought it was over. I truly thought there was nothing left. The game was over until Jalen Richard busted out that run. Like I said, I want to get into that in the second half. But like I said, the only negative thing, and when you look at it statistically, you got to tip your hat to Bill Musgrave at the same time. Regardless if we don't like the conservative play calling, he matured with the game. He let it loose when he needed to let it loose, and it worked. I'd like to see him do that early and often. But at the same time, you look at the numbers, 319 passing yards, no turnovers for Derek Carr, and a touchdown, over 70-something yards, roughly 170 yards rushing as a unit. Jalen Richard with the big run obviously helps that situation out. Derek Carr hit 7 different receivers in this game. Talk about Drew Brees-esque, right? This is exactly what he was doing. I mean, he hit Crabtree. Crabtree went for $132. Crabtree had 84 yards receiving. Seth Roberts had 19. Clive Walford had 3 catches for 25 yards. I mean, they really, really, and even hit his running backs out of the backfield, which is, like I said, you look at the statistics, you would never think that there should be any issues with the offensive coordinator. But once again, if you're going to have a prolific offense the way that I believe that this team is set up, you need to really attack early. The great Al Davis once said, it's not about what they give you, it's about what you take. You got to go take it. And we have the kind of offense that could take it. This running game is starting to pop. This offensive line we dumped a lot of money into. We were running the ball maybe not as strongly as I'd like to see it without that big Jalen Richard run, but we were running the football. And it's just going to get better. So, this passing game is prolific. They want to play off. They want to keep their safeties deep on us. Then let's hit him, man. I mean, he kept hitting Cooper. When they really started getting it going and hitting Cooper in stride up the middle or, up in space, Coop has that ability to turn, get them yak yards. So we need to continue pushing forward in that mindset. And as long as we do that throughout the season, not just next week, but throughout the season, we're going to put up some major offensive numbers. And that's what I want to see because, we're going to need to be putting up 35 points a game if our defense, or at least to allow, I believe our defense is going to be fine. Like I said, that's a tomorrow show. But, it's obviously going to take some more time to get some chemistry and continuity built. And so our offense needs to keep pace. Our offense needs to keep us in games and just allow these guys. I mean, essentially with the kind of offense that I'm seeing that we have and the offensive power that we have, our defense will only need to really get like a handful of plays where they really shut them down. Just give us enough opportunities to pull ahead. And, like the first drive. If you look at the way they called the first drive, we get down there, we get the big turnover from Bruce Irvin. We're right down there close to the red zone. You get the penalty off a run from Murray, and then right away you start with a running back screen, a wide receiver screen, and we go nowhere. You end up kicking a field goal. Now, I'll take the points all day, but we saw early that against a team like the Saints and that offense with Drew Brees, field goals ain't going to cut it. We got to go touchdown for touchdown. All that said, I believe it was a great performance by our offense. My hat goes off to this offensive line. And I just thought it was, all in all, a great, exciting game. I think at my age now, I don't want to be put in those situations too often. I'd rather maybe try to stay away from, them heart attack games, I want to call it. But what an exciting game. But like I said, that's the only negative I want to talk about. And when we get back from break, I'm going to keep it all positive. I want to talk about some of the great things that happened in this game, some game-changing moments, and just really some tone setters, not only for the game, but for the season by some leaders on this football team. And, it's an exciting time moving forward because week one is tough. Week one is no joke. You just can't, you never know what to expect from week one, especially when you kept things so close to your chest in the preseason. So to come out and be able to perform in the way that they performed was exciting. So like I said, once we get back from break, we are going to talk about some of them great positive things that I saw, and I want to highlight them as we move forward. All right, guys, we'll be right back after this break. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back to the W2W review. I am the Oakland Knight. Running solo today, we had some technical difficulties, like I mentioned in segment one, on my end. So I'm going to have to put out this show solo today. So much love to Pirate Man. Thank you for just all the hard work you do on the technical side of things. It's just he's a great partner. I just want to put that out there. Great knowledge, great partner, great person to work with. All right, let's go ahead and get into the second half of this great offensive Monday, coming off a big victory in the Big Easy. I want to keep this positive moving forward now. I talked about the negative in the first segment. I want to put that behind us, and let's be honest. I mean, the negative wasn't really that negative. Like I said, when you look at the win in the win column, and then statistically, we're on pace for a good season. So that's the way you want to start, statistic-wise anyway. So what are some of the positive things that I've seen? I talked a little bit about the offensive line in segment one, but just to reiterate, we got some great depth there. These pieces are interchangeable. It's something that I've been talking about all offseason, being able to have those moving parts and having guys being able to step up. And, there's a few different ways you could look at this. This is the next man up philosophy, right? But there's just something about this football team, Raider Nation, that it's not just the next man up. I mean, these guys are playing for each other. I'm not just talking about the offensive linemen. When you have offensive linemen that are going to be humbled and they're going just to take this and say, I'll do whatever it takes, whatever we need to do, not only protect our quarterback, but to make sure that these running backs have lanes to hit, and we're going to win this game. And they all came together. When Watson went down, when McCants went down, they all bonded together. They switched up the offensive line, and nobody quit. Now, one of these guys quit, so that's going to lead me right into, the real leader of this football team right now, and that is Jack Del Rio. Jack Del Rio instilled the confidence in his football team, and for the first time since he's been here, since last year, he put all of his confidence and all of his eggs, or should I say both of his eggs in this case, in one basket, and that was the offensive basket. I mean, last season we seen it time and time again where he would totally, lay off the gas on offense and give the ball to his defense, and he wouldn't let Janikowski try some long field goals to get his points ahead to move forward. And he just said, you know what, my defense is going to win this game. And there was a few times the defense came through, and then there was more times than not the defense didn't last year. But Jack Del Rio realized where his strength was in this football game, and he gave it to his strength. He gave it to Carr. He told Carr before that last drive, when, and I'm going to repeat that because that's a key word, when we score the touchdown, we're going for two. When your quarterback hears something like that, I mean, right then and there, I mean, this guy is ready to roll. His coach has confidence in him. Basically, go get him, Tiger, right? And he did that. Now, I know in that last drive, there was that questionable penalty, the questionable PI. But when you look at that play, the guy, the defender never turned his head. He bumped him. There was contact after 5 yards. He didn't turn his head, and he basically was the main reason why he was out of bounds. So that call could go either way. I will say that. You could take that call either way. And that was the one opportunity we needed. It was fourth down. Game over right there. Game over right there. But for once we caught a break. And if you look at some of the other calls in the game prior to that, we basically got one back. Okay, we had 141 yards in penalties, 11 penalties for 141 yards. Unacceptable. Some more false starts, some holding penalties. We got to clean those up. We just got to keep ourselves in these type of situations where we could perform. But that was all the opportunity we need. And that's going to lead me in. So once again, Jack Del Rio, really taking control of this football team and letting his guys play football and playing to the strengths. And that's what you want from your head coach. Know what your strength is and play on it. And that's exactly what we saw last Sunday. And it's one of the main reasons why we were able to keep our heads up and pull that game off. The other one, because I'm going to save that one for last. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about Jalen Richard. Here's a guy that we heard nothing but good things about all through camp. We didn't get to see a lot of it. And when he finally came into the Tennessee game and debuted, we saw him on a kickoff return. We seen the explosion. We seen the ability for him to move in the pocket, inside the pocket of the offensive line and break free on a few plays. But we didn't see a whole lot. We didn't understand exactly what it is that we had in Richard in the preseason, the way that he was being talked about in training camp and practices and whatnot. But boy, did we see it yesterday. He summed it all up in one play of why he's on this football team, and it couldn't have came at a better time. It was his first carry. It went for 75 yards and a TD. But keep in mind, we were at the point of the game where not only did we need that touchdown, we needed it exactly the way we got it. We needed it fast. We had to score, and we had to score quick. They were playing top. They were playing us over the top so tight. They had a big umbrella on defense, and it was going to be hard for Derek Carr to hit Coop on a long one or hit Crabtree on a long one. It wasn't going to happen. So for Richard to be able to go down there and explode up the middle and run through those arm tackles, get into the open field and take off, that is exactly what we need. That's why you could easily give him the game ball to say that he was, because that play was really what gave us the opportunity to have even a shot at taking this game. And so Jalen Richard, man, welcome to the Raiders. Just Latavius Murray made his name that way. Let's not forget it. Latavius Murray came in against Kansas City, busted out some big runs, and showed his skill set. Well, Jalen Richard did it now too, and Latavius Murray knows how this works. So once again, what a great run, some great speed, great vision, great burst. I'm excited for Washington and Richard. I'm excited for this running game in general. Me and Pirate were talking. And simply, man, I mean, honestly, to keep this offensive going and keep the pace moving, I think Washington and Richard should be switching off. And I think Latavius Murray would be the perfect complementary back after we tire out the defensive front to bring in a bigger back like Murray with some speed to him to finish off games. But either way, it worked out yesterday. We got a ton of weapons in the running back department, and Jalen Richard showed why he made this 53-man roster as an undrafted free agent rookie. So what a great story. I can't wait to see more Jalen Richard moving forward. And, just to kind of take back kind of what I said to a point, Murray can start. That's what happened. I mean, you don't want to put too much on these rookies, but obviously they have the skill set. The offense seems to move a ton faster when they're in there. So, it was just great. Moving on from that, these receivers. Coop doing his thing, man, going for 132 yards, finding open space, getting them yak yards. No, he didn't get into the end zone, but he did catch a nice little pass himself for a 2-point conversion. Coop's going to have a big year. Coop is going to have a big year. Pirate always says, a 1,000-yard receiver, a 1,000-yard rusher in today's NFL is not that great. I mean, you're going to have to ask yourself, we're going to have to get 1,300 yards plus to be relevant in this league. And I think Coop is on his way to do that. Is he going to be able to put up a $130 every week? We'll see. Defenses are really going to start cracking down on him, but that's what I like about our receiving core. You're going to crack down on Cooper like that, Crabtree's going to run on you. Crabtree's going to be all over you. If you want to do what you did yesterday, keep your safeties back. It's going to open up the run game. It's going to open up the middle of that field for our tight ends and hitting passes over the middle. Even for our running backs like Jalen Richard and DeAndre Washington, to really make things happen. I'm telling you, this offense has a ton of weapons now and a great leader to pull the trigger. So I was really impressed by these guys. Crabtree went for 84 yards, I believe it was. So his number is not too bad. I was hoping that he'd get 100, but he did have the game winner. The guy's got freaking hands like freaking glue. He plucked that ball right in the air, jumped up at a perfect time. Just great. I mean, the determination, the will to win. That's exactly right, the will to win. This whole offense had the will to win yesterday, and they showcased it. And a lot has to be said about Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree as our 1 and 2 wide receivers. We're sitting in a good position. They were defended yesterday, y'all. They were defended. The way Crabtree came back for that pass when Carr was rolling out, and that's going to lead me into the bread and butter of this all, man. Derek Carr. Now, I know there's been a lot of people that question our leader, our quarterback. But I'm going to tell you something. This guy grew up again yesterday. We needed him to play a better second half. That's one thing that he kind of tailed off in second halves. He came to ball, okay? He came to ball, period. He came to ball for 4 quarters. You go back to that first quarter where he dove over the defender for the first down. I remember my first thought when I initially saw him do that. I was like, here we go again. He's going to play Superman on the outside and get hurt. But you know what? He didn't. And it was a great play. He set the tone for this offense. He was going to do anything he had to do to win this ball game, even if it's playing acrobat and going over a defender for a first down. If your quarterback is willing to do that, that raises the play and the level and the attitude of everybody else on the football team. Everybody else on the football team. So, man, Carr just really stepped it up. Carr's passes were on point. I believe he was a little shaky at times, but that's normal. And the funny thing is if you looked at the times when he was shaky, I mean, they were jailbreaking him, okay? They were blitzing him a lot. He was under pressure. The pass that I was talking about to Crabtree, where Crabtree came back for it, he threw off his back foot. He had defenders on him. He had 3 defenders on him, and he was able to keep his head upfield, throw off his back foot, a wobbly pass, and Crabtree made a play out of it. And this is what I'm talking about. If your quarterback's willing to sacrifice everything that he has for you, you're willing to sacrifice everything you have for him. And we saw that from Crabtree on that play in general. We saw that from Tywan Jones when he just turned on the speed and took on 3 defenders. We saw that from Latavius Murray when he lowered his shoulder and ran the dude over for a touchdown. When the Jalen Richard, when he broke out, we saw Kelechi Osemele pancake some dude on that play. So, we saw Donald Penn move from left side to right side and hold it down. And that really started from the play of Derek Carr. No interceptions. Was he playing safe? Maybe he was playing safe. Maybe it was the play calling, right? He was just doing what he was told, and he went with the flow of the game. But when he had to turn it on, he turned it on. And Jack Del Rio gave him the vote of confidence, and he went out there and did it. Okay? I'm not going to forget. He was on the sideline right before he came out on that last drive. And I'm going to quote Rondé Barber, who was calling the game on Fox. He flat out said it. He says, I don't know, just look at Carr. He said, look at Carr. Look at his eyes. And they panned over to Carr on the sideline. And you could see it in his eyes, man. He had the eye of the tiger, okay? The determination in his eyes was insane. It wasn't a guy that looked scared. It wasn't a guy, it looked like a guy focused, ready to go out there. I mean, he was in the zone. You could just feel it. You saw it right through his eyes in that moment. And he went on the field. He became the general. He called the plays. He made play after play after play, just throwing bullets. And that last pass to Seth Roberts, when you look at it, He threw an actual beautiful BB right into the chest of Seth Roberts in stride, which is what allowed Seth Roberts to get in. I'm not taking nothing from Seth Roberts. What a great play to get into the end zone. But it's a lot easier when you're going over the middle like that and you catch a pass like Carr threw in stride. You got the ball, you got the momentum. He bounced off 2 defenders and pushed his way into the end zone for us to get within 1. And that was just, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. When you have a quarterback that is that determined, and you got a head coach that believes in your quarterback to give him that confidence, to have that determination, and then he goes out and he showcases that to the rest of the offense, the rest of the team. It keeps everybody up. Everybody was on the same mission yesterday. Everybody was on the same page. Were we perfect? No, we weren't. Is there a lot of things that we have to clean up? Absolutely. But this team, once again, just like it did all last year, showed heart. This team showed a ton of heart, a ton of courage. The difference between this team this year and that game in week 1 versus all the other games that we struggled in last season is we won. We got the victory. We made it happen. And, you know, that is exciting because, like I said, in week 1, you don't know what you're going to get. You do not know what you're going to get. You're going to have some rust you're still knocking off. A lot of these guys didn't get that many reps, you know, in preseason. They didn't have enough 4 quarters of football to really get this thing going. Now they got 4 quarters under the belt. They got a ton of tape. They know what they need to correct. They know what they need to do moving forward. And it's going to get better week in and week out. A lot of the times, especially for the young team like us, it's going to take 3 to 4 games to really hit our stride. So every W we get for between now and by the time we wrap it up in Jacksonville is going to be essential. So make no mistake about it. We got the Atlanta Falcons coming in this Sunday in the O.co. And if you watch that, you know, any highlights or watched any of that Atlanta game, they struggled. They definitely struggled. But we know, don't sleep on them Falcons. They're going to be prepared defensively. They got offensive weapons themselves. It all depends on what kind of Matt Ryan you're going to get. Are you going to get Matty Ice or are you just going to get Matt Ryan? But I think offensively, they got the weapons. They got Julio Jones, Trevion Coleman, DeMarco Freeman. They got some players that we're going to have to be ready for. So my message to this team and to this offense, because it's Offensive Monday, is, yo, Bill Musgrave, come out the gate swinging, man. Come out, be aggressive from the get-go, run hard, you know, try to get the ball upfield. They want to play that umbrella defense on us. Fine, let's hit them with some 5-yard slants, man. Let's get our playmakers into space and do something. I'm not talking this screen stuff either, man. They're ready for it. They're waiting for it at this point. We got to rise above that and be better than that. So, all in all, offense as a whole really showcased itself. It lived up to its expectations, in my opinion. The play calling needs to be a ton more aggressive in the beginning. But, man, these guys are starting to lock in. To pull off a game like that in 4 quarters is great. Well, that's all the time we're going to have for today, Raider Nation. Make sure you tune in tomorrow when we cover the defense on Defensive Tuesday. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at The Will to Win. And if you have any questions or concern, you can email us at thew2w@gmail.com. That is thew2w@gmail.com. And until tomorrow, you stay Raider strong. Hey there, I'm Jason Smith, also known as the Oakland Knight. We'd like to thank you for watching the Will to Win broadcast here on YouTube. And if you would like to stay up to date for more content like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. Or you could click any one of the videos on the side to watch more great videos. Thank you once again, and stay Raider strong.